Well, hello everyone. Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to another look, book celebration and book launch and celebration of Victor Enns' My Todesbuch, My Death Book. You know what? I didn't know if I should actually go with the, go ahead. Todesbuch. Book. Okay. I didn't, I didn't know if I should go into and try and do like it with an, the accent or the, anyways, we'll move on. I'm Jim, hi. Very lucky to be your host among a great group of brilliant people who have come together to make this launch a success. This room that we're in is called the Output. This afternoon we'll be outputting words and music and video right into your brain, thoughts and ideas and emotions, some quite raw and unfiltered, and truth. Victor's truth. Before we get to hearing from all the talented creators this afternoon, let's acknowledge the creators who were here before us, because we are on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional lands of Anishinaabe, Cree, OG Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Red River Métis. We recognize these as ancestral lands and commit to respect and reconciliation. We have some very accomplished artists and writers and musicians and performers, including novelist and playwright Armin Weibe, Winnipeg-based poet and editor Maurice Mierau, Winnipeg-based writer and performer Andrea von Wichert, Winnipeg-based artist and animator Toews, who among many other things did all the illustrations for Victor's books and animations and the videos. And also the Midbrain Trio is here to perform. Well, they already have performed. That's what you're hearing when you came in. They will again, and maybe accompany some readers as they read some of Victor's works. We have musician and sound artist Chris Mama Bauer from AuOH is performing, and also a special video from Michelle Hewitt, who, besides being an accessibility advocate and writer, was, and this is right from the bio, Victor's fourth and final wife. She collaborated closely with Victor in the presentation and sharing of his work, so it's great that she'll be doing some reading. As for Victor's wishes, this is meant to be, a casual and fun event, even though his book is called Mein Todesbuch, My Death Book. There's no like formal break or intermission or anything like that. So you can help yourselves to food and drink throughout the presentation. There's some food and things outside, and coffee out there, that's free, but there's drinks there that you have to pay for. And if you need the facilities, that's right outside the door you came in. Quick right around and down that hallway there. And if there's a fire alarm and that goes off, we'll just leave quickly, because that's the way that works. Now, for the program itself, there's going to be some poetry readings, of course, then a compilation of poetry videos edited by Lora Van Loewen, followed by a second reading set, and then there'll be music. First, Midbrain Trio, then Chris Mama Bauer from AuOH, then another video segment, and then we'll have the final reading, and we'll send you on your way with your books. Just so you know, this program is being recorded, so we want to thank our camera operator, Joyce Salud. And now, after I've said all that, let's get to our first reading set. Maurice Mierau is a longtime contributor to Manitoba's literary community. As an editor, teacher, and former president of the League of Canadian Poets, he's also, fun fact, was the editor for Victor's last book. He's going to be reading 2 poems. We can welcome now Maurice Mierau.
Thank you, Jim. So I'm quite emotionally torn at the moment. On the one hand, it's a delight to hold this book and to be able to say "booch." You got work to do there, Jim. But some of us have worked at it for many years, so you shouldn't worry about it. But anyway, on the other hand, it's sad too. I'm slightly scared of losing control of myself. So I deliberately had Jameson's, and I also picked poems that are kind of funny, because I think this is an easy thing to forget about Victor. He was such a, I'm going to lose it a bit, sorry. Just give me a moment. So he was such an intense personality, and one of the things I remember about sitting with him in his living room in Wolseley is having arguments with him, of course, because we're still Mennonites, and we don't really apply logic to our arguments, we just apply emotion. And so I remember arguing with him about whether poems should rhyme. At the time, he was deeply opposed to rhyme in all its forms, and I suggested that this was perhaps a bit dogmatic, just the rich coming from me. And and I remember I said, how about that Frederick Seidel, who's a pretty good American poet, and he's been in some nice places, and probably more than 24 people read him. And Victor had no trouble with that. And then we had an argument about how many people should read your books in order for you to be considered, at least in your own mind, an important poet. And I said, well, what mattered was the quality of your readers, but Victor held out for 30. And I see we're almost at 30 here. In fact, let's just round up if it's not. So I think he wins. But he lost on the rhymes, as you're going to see. Because he clearly changed his mind, even if it wasn't a conscious decision. And I like to be right. So I'm going to read the first poem in the book. Which is called Hey Bees, Listen Here. Yeah, I think these are sort of guzzles, but because Persian has absolutely nothing to do with English, nobody who writes guzzles in English, no two poets have the same idea of how it looks, and Victor's take on it is completely different than everybody else's, which is as it should be. So, Hey Bees, Listen Here, which is dedicated for Joe Rosenblatt. Bees swarm, zoom through outside areas fast as the speed of my hearing loss. Catch the summer gliss back, touchdown, swarm up, speeds of my hearing loss. Dissonant traffic rushes underground, tunnels, slippery viola leads a blue note astray, want to keep it open, hearts and minds reads my hearing loss. Pain lands, my hands mumble speech, not easily recognized. Dictate me not this lone smash key, typing nonsense, guzzle, cold half-glass beer beads my hearing loss. Airplanes, not loud ones, distance landing here, descent, tiptoes, underneath Hercules fuselage, dislocation feeds my hearing loss. I'm in the quiet dark, looking for the bathroom, trying hard not to pee, nod my head to the knock time of new music seeds my hearing loss. Say unison, smash key, playing my knuckles hurt like hell. I mentioned my knuckles hurt like hell. You listen, knuckles needs my hearing loss. We, am I, different, appraisals, lash to ashes, bees buzz, dark buzz, ashes drift into the lake, settling scores, leads my hearing loss. Uphill, slowly walk further, there is no snow on sale, it's plain call, hill, a mountain pain, a chimera, Lora weeds my hearing loss. Fact diminishes half the work I'm doing, becomes the starting line. Hey, you listen here, all I can hear needs my hearing loss. And then all the poems in this opening section list an R. Murray Schafer string quartet that they were prompted by. Okay, and here's the poem that's got the rhyme in it. And I was just reminded of one last argument I had with Victor that I thought I'd mention, which was also enjoyable. And that was the last one. And we argued about whether all the titles should be in all caps. And he actually had a citation for me, which was a Patrick Lane book that I thought had a different page design. So eventually I realized that I was getting really wound up about something that didn't matter that much, especially given the context. So I let him have his way, which I should have in the first place. I feel slightly guilty about this, but it was an enjoyable argument, I have to say. Anyways, this poem is called Light Rain. Piddle, paddle, rain pits the puddle under a live wire, still suburbs are alight. Closing their wings, starlings alight with precision, the birds are all right. Tick-tock goes her frock, she clicks her heels, love is right behind the door. Pooch bounces in, attendants shoo her away, in the dusk the birds alight. The devil, you say, dead, you say, he didn't last, did he? Ha! Just like an artist, before and after his time, while fools hop, skip, and press, pinched nerves alight. Give them enough rope, tra-la, they will make their escape from the opera balcony. The dew-eyed blonde tiptoes from one story to another, finds the birds alight. Give me a jazz club where I can hear blue notes fill in for poor cartilage. Genetics can't dance, can you, son of a preacher man, when the herbs alight? In for the slide, for the long glissando, safe, says the umpire, safe, says the bass judge, line judges, my lady was in fair play, we hear cheering crowds disturb the light. Here comes the rain again, it's dark, man, dropping chatterly on autumn leaves. Few raccoons here, coyotes watch out for bears when the cat's out curb alight. Shopping, those notes must be burrowed, no, it's borrowed. A standout melody, where is Borrow being? Victor Enns musses his messes, many burdens alight. Thank you.
Thank you, Maurice. I was fortunate to be able to read a number of pieces for Victor's website from Victor's previous book, Just Breathe, the whole abject alphabet, if you're familiar with that. And here's one from his latest book, and it's called Notation. Argue for the right of way. Grab the line, find notation is love. Let's hurry this buggy across wild strawberries. Notation is love. Throw your socks and shoes over the fence. Barefoot, hold hands. Hey, run away. Hurry, hurry, let's go. Touch tag, push stumbles, tumble kind. Notation is love. Sweat and rhythm get away from sunflowers, unabashed, turning heads. Shout, farmer, farmer, we have lost our heads. Blind notation is love. Tail of our kite shreds ribbons fall apart upon us. Blesses our kisses. Barbed wire fence will not keep us behind. Notation is love. Sail we passed, pain kite lost to the wild, to the wind, sacrifice to the power. Lines we stand perfectly still. Here echo sign notation is love. We have our first poetry video segment now. It's a compilation edited by Lora Van Loewen. Videos originally created by Lora Van Loewen, Kevin Nikkel, and Murray Toews.
Welcome to the abject alphabet by that mad Phoenician, Victor Enns. We'll begin with the letter A. Adultery. First, you can't see anything. Then you can't look away. Finding half a worm in the apple, she handed you. Angst. Ich habe, du hast, wir haben. Ich bin, du bist, wir sind. A line, a long drive, a longing, no place, shaking all over, and sitting still. Ich will rein. Axe. My father's, the one I lost, left behind, a long scar on his knee in the Christmas tree forest. D is for damnation, dark, deception, declined, doubt, and Daniel was my grandfather's name. My mother at his side when he died. She was 14, he was 47. I was born on his birthday, April 3rd, 3 weeks after my due date. I have a photograph of him in front of me, dated 1888. Death, pain's healing game. Depression, licking my fucking wound. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the most worthless, one of all? Also, a falling out or a caving in. Also, feeding the parasite. Desire, the need for wanting always. Desire beats all. Divorce, the magnets turned. Desire's death certificate, failure of nerve, a pessimist's reward, a final decree. First contact. My mother left me in a large brown baby buggy with the big wheels and no brakes. The weather was fine and I was sleeping, so she filled a pail of water from the kitchen pump and hurried out to wash her new Studebaker. Father was in the garden. Sometime later, likely 5 or 10 minutes, I woke. I tried to pull myself up and started shaking the pram. The pram was left in front of the door to the basement, which was left open. I was rocking this pram and it rolled towards the basement door, likely a few inches, and then, gathering speed, began its descent. It didn't get far. My pram wheels caught on the first 2 stairs, pitching me forward and with gravity's assistance to the bottom of the stairs, which ended a step short of a brick and mortar wall. My mother always hated the old house because none of the floors were straight, and cited this as a likely factor in the prams rolling through the stairs. Following my launch, my face from my forehead to my mouth was in hard contact with the brick wall. I have no first-hand memory of this, some indication I was not in tree, and I was never in a pram after 18 months walking. The confirmation comes from my sister. I remember this very clearly. Mother had sent me to the co-op to get something and said to take you in the pram for an errand. Wasn't long before I was on Main Street and a group of boys looked in the pram and began to tease me about your face and how it could be so black and blue. While this comment had been tolerated by my mother from her loudest older brother, my sister did not take kindly to this taunting. She said, I stepped forward and punched the biggest one of them hard in the face. I didn't break his nose, but it was bleeding, and soon he had a shiner to explain. Hard to admit he had been bested by a girl. As far as I can remember, it's the only time I've ever punched anybody. My sister was barely 11 and rarely bothered again. It's likely that an 86-month-old brain has more resilience than mine has today, or so my mother must have thought. There was no trip to the doctor or a check for concussion. My flight into her basement brick wall was one of the earliest stories told to me to remember from my infancy. And in the original telling, my mother did say I was 6 months old. It was also when I started living under the protection of my sister
P is for pears. The pear is a fair fall fruit, best eaten fresh off the tree. Ask Eve, ask the partridge, ask Newton. Don't give a fig for gravity. Go ahead, eat a pear. Colored by the sun and all her clothes. Let the pear appear in the palm of your hand. Let the pear appear in the palm of your hand. Colored by the sun and all her clothes. Colored by the sun and all her clothes. Feel the pear in the palm of your hand. Feel the pear in the palm of your hand. Sink your teeth into the flesh of the pear. Sink your teeth into the flesh of the pear. Taste the pear on the tip of your tongue. Taste the pear on the tip of your tongue. Swallow the memory of pear in your palm. Swallow the memory of pear in your palm. The pear disappears from the palm of your hand. The pear disappears from the palm of your hand. Remember the pear in the palm of your hand. Remember the pear in the palm of your hand. Colored by the sun and all her clothes. Colored by the sun and all her clothes. How do you know it was a pear? How do you know it was a pear?
He was the kind of guy who would third person himself at the drop of a hat, as long as it wasn't a royal crown. He was the kind of guy who would verb third person himself and verb. He was the kind of guy who understood he became more of an existentialist every day he came closer to ceasing to exist. He was the kind of guy who would send the Canada Medical Assistance in Dying survey to his friends. He was the kind of guy who lived and examined life and was pretty sure he was flunking. Pieces of my mind. Being an essay on the verities of my brain function, from cradle to grave, and a companion to my body in parts. I'm different. Different than what exactly is hard to define specifically. But generally, I am different from most regular people. Now, granted, we are all different, even twins. Still, there is a range of behavior accepted as normal out in the world. I once advised an artist to give up on despair and get back to writing desire, right to creation. You are God, the creator, the maker. You'll never find a better job. You make something using everything your desire gives you to create. You put into the world something that didn't exist before your wanting, then thinking, then making. Without desire, your imagination withers. Argue if you like, but I believe desire beats all. Herbert Marcuse says somewhere in Eros and Civilization that making civilization is Eros sublimated and Thanatos thwarted. Otherwise, like the Kills sing in Black Rooster, you just want to fucking fight down in the basement. Are Argue if you like, but I think making is the ticket to civilization. Without desire, I will die or want to die. I know while I am working, writing especially something new that didn't exist just minutes before, I am most alive in the sway of my free-ranging senses, making, creating something new. If that last thing left you can do is to keep creating, creation will sustain you. Creation is life-sustaining. I Get This, put succinctly by Tom Allen on CBC, speaking about Mahler at the end of his life. I hope my family and friends do too. Thanks for listening.
Our next reader, Armin Weibe, has earned national recognition, including award nominations and major literary prizes. He is a Winnipeg novelist and playwright, best known for his humorous and distinctive portrayals of Mennonite life. Fun fact, Armin was taught by both of Victor's parents in high school. Please welcome Armin Weibe.
Victor's mother also taught David Bergen in Niverville. That was many years later. I first met Victor in Robert Croce's advanced creative writing class at the University of Manitoba. And so I thought it was only fitting to read a poem about Robert Croce, and the incident in the poem also was the factor that brought Lynn Martin and me together. Without that, we probably never would have met. Anyway, Shinning Croce's Bones. He kept his head for all the crows could see, riding shotgun with 3 women. Let's make them sisters, though not his. This is a story of his quest, seeking his mother's love in garden after garden. Hot highway is the only way to go from conference to lounge to hotel room by Heisler. Croce is on the move, looking for his mother. Minutes before, by the clock, eons by his memory, he stepped up to his one and only home, peered into farmhouse windows. No one to open, the doors locked. He thought the gods were with him that sunny afternoon. He wanted to smell his mother in her kitchen, clouds of flour dust rising from her knife-cutting spätzle. In all her living, a vision left him standing in her garden. He whispered so she might hear him better. Mother, where are you? There is no after here. Listen to the wrench. Metal tearing through the body, once breathing stories, and hiding his bone-chasing tail with legendary desire now too late. Too bad. Gazing into his pants, judging his losses. He breathes, gets his hanky, little expecting, as he rubs his neck, dripping sweat. To do-die, 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 do. He waves to his 3 air-conditioned sisters, waiting for him. I'm coming, he says, I wish, under his breath. One sister moving back to the back seat,
He climbs aboard, riding shotgun unloaded. His passage guaranteed by a black Ford F-150 4x4 barreling down the highway. Mr. Cochran, this time death is the highway, and Croach will ride it, hiding his bones for good in the summertime blues, stud horseman thrown, home a memory, mother ripped from his consciousness, apron strings firmly cut. There is no after here. A successful atheist. You have a Mennonite-sounding last name. How is it possible to believe in nothing after every hymn you've sung, verses you have memorized, and your father's sermons, religious paintings you have seen, and stories you have heard? History says anything that can last 2,000 years shows enough strength for you to sing along with, I know in whom I have believed. I have denied or declined my faith. You see, there's a problem right away, my faith. How can I deny my faith when I haven't one? But 3 times I have left the church, let's say. It's just this last time I've chosen never to go back. Obligation is a poor conductor. I can look and see how hard it could be to remain upright in the Lord. You must believe you once had a left leg below the knee. For certain, you know this. You once had 2 legs, now you have 1. You believe in both. You still have a leg to stand on and one to curse.
Here's another piece from Victor's books. It's called I Make Mistakes. I make the mistakes of 2 men. I make the mistakes of 3 men. Is that the worst you can do? I make the mistakes of 3 million men. Oh yeah, I make the mistakes of billions. Of men? Yes, yes, yes. And now I can't sleep. I dropped a bucket load of Seroquel on my toes, on my tongue. Taking my bedtime meds, I rolled the cart away. Where were you? Hiss, hiss. I went to the kitchen, got a glass of water. Real glass, real water. Yes, yes, yes. I take my pill. I can feel sleep approaching, but I fear I've hurt my shoulder, manhandling my power chair, righting it from a poorly cut curb. Tylenol will have to do. I make the mistakes. They bring me to my knees. Oh my, my. The pain is too big for Tylenol. We told you there'd be music. We did not lie about that. Now, here is the Midbrain Trio. We told you that there wouldn't be a formal break, but there's a wee bit of a setup changeover, you know, between the bands. So you have the option of me talking for the next 3 to 5 minutes, or we take a short break for washroom, food and drinks. The bar is open there, there's food and all that. No need to vote, quick break it is. So we'll see you in about 5 minutes, all right? And so as a short little explanation is that we met a number of years ago when Victor was working on his abject alphabet and all that, and started to work with Murray on making a website and recording things. And so he got me to record a couple things, and also he wanted to record things. So we had discussions about how to record and things about microphone recording equipment, that kind of stuff. And at one point he said, well, what if you're reading something and then you become very emotional? How do you stop yourself from breaking down or getting so emotional so that you can read the piece that you're working on? And I said, oh, well, that's a good question. Well, first, emotion is great. If you're performing and that affects you, you get affected by that, I think the audience would appreciate that it is an emotional thing. But you do want to be able to actually say the words and get through that. And so the only thing that I know is, say you start a sentence and then it becomes emotional and you can feel it, you can feel it coming up. Stick out your chin. And that's the simplest, weirdest little trick, but it works. And I hope that you're not in a situation where all of a sudden you start saying something and then the emotion comes over you and you just go, stick out your chin. It works. It really does work. So anyways, so I did know Victor for a number of years, not as many as some of our wonderful performers and poets and novelists who have come up here as well. But now, some more music. Chris Mama Bauer is a Winnipeg-based musician and sound artist. He's known for his experimental approach to audio and performance, working under the name AuOH, that's AuOH. He creates immersive improvisational soundscapes. So here is AuOH, and this piece is called Victor Visions.
This is made entirely with Victor.
My eyes.
My eyes. While this lucky man is happy to have two of them, they don't focus without glasses. I am farsighted with an astigmatism in one eye. My mother realized there must be a problem with my undisguised, lovely eyes because she couldn't teach me to read. Frustrated, she pulled my ear. See, my ears, to ensure I wasn't being stubborn. And when my eyes filled with tears, she relented. Poor, poor, pitiful me. Yeah, I know. Get over it. We went to the bay to see James Shane, optometrist, who clicked and clacked away until I saw distinct letters. And then looking at the big E this way and that, matching them until they didn't overlap. We went to the bay to see James Shane, optometrist. That's wrong. Away until I saw distinct letters. And then looking at the big E this way and that, looking at the big E this way and that, matching them until there was nothing left over. My mother was thrilled, and so was I, about my eyes with beautiful long lashes. Wasted, I heard, on a boy. See, boy. My glasses came like most in my small border town, in a sturdy cardboard bit of business, the size of my glasses, good for stamp collecting by the unambitious. I was my eyes the minute I could separate the letters to read words, then sentences, then paragraphs. I was 5. E is also for the Eaton's catalog, where I read the words, double gusset, making me swoon. I was 25 when I read Bataille's Story of the Eye in English. I can't pronounce even the title in French, but the I for short realized Kristeva's theory of objection and powers of horror for me, and provides the opening quotation for the entire abject alphabet. I am abject, that is mortal, and speaking, said Julia Kristeva. The term objection literally means the state of being cast off. I was 50 when my mother died. I spelled out the name of the company making the concrete vault, enclosing her casket when she died. The engraver misheard, and she was encased in concrete as Susan Enns, with an F instead of an S at the end. I was startled at graveside, but nobody admits to have noticed. My eyes, the only ones to have seen my heir down by the riverside. A microaggression, a Freudian slip, a comeuppance I can feel guilty about. That's my eyes from my body in parts, pieces of my mind.
They don't focus without glasses. I am farsighted with an astigmatism in one eye. My mother realized there must be a problem with my undisguised healthy eyes because she couldn't teach me to read. Frustrated, she pulled my ears to ensure I wasn't being stubborn.
Well, this lucky man is happy to have two of them. I am farsighted with an astigmatism. My mother realized there must be a problem with my undisguised. Well, this lucky because she couldn't teach me to read. Frustrated, she pulled my eye. Well, this lucky man is well, this lucky man is happy to have my eye. Well, my eye is happy to have two. Well, this lucky man is happy glasses. My eye.
Thank you, Chris. We have another poetry video segment. Credits: Lora Van Loewen, Kevin Nikkel, Murray Toews.
Now let's get this straight. Let's get this straight. I'm Victor Enns, and you're not. Welcome. I'm reading from Always Breathe. It's my new book, and I hope you buy a copy and can find a copy so you can read a copy. Reading is always great. Listening to me is also helpful, especially if you can't see. Here's some shrapnel from the Jimmy Bang Blues Project. Some assembly required. I'm too fat and ugly for girls. I'm too fat and ugly for boys. All I've ever been good for is making noise. I've got a fake leg. I've got a fake heart. All I'm good for is falling apart. I pull myself together. I pull myself together. I can reassemble. But you? Will you remake my heart? Dog Day. There has been a mistake. The sun has gone to another face. Mine, distraught, absorbs the dark. Dog at my foot.
F, from the original text. The dirtiest letter, bite your lip till it bleeds. Fatigue, anemia of the spirit. Forgiveness, impossible love. Fun, what I don't know. Later. F is for fuck. Fuckity fuck, fuck, fuck. Wanna fuck? Fuck you. Fuck off. What the fuck? F is for fail, fool, forget, forlorn, fist, fight, feces, fetid, febrile, felt, fart, feeble, and faint. F is for foot, finger, forearm, forehead, femur, and fellatio. For me, a non-starter. Fuckity, 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 fuck. F is for fuck in the first Jimmy Bang poem about my parents. F is for my father Frank F. Enns, or FF Enns, the second initial as a patronymic, evidence that my father Frank is also the son of Frank, representing an idea rather than a word, almost like algebra. Still here the garden, hot summer I hide against raspberry picking. Mosquitoes and thorns leave traces, I hide against raspberry picking. Make tea, small hopes don't want to be reminded. The hammer I hear, pulling nails from fence posts. Settlers ride for raspberry picking. Time saw teepee besides Buffalo Creek. No bison, no hunting. Weed Rogers sugar beets, refined against raspberry picking. Queens and cardinals drink strawberries red, disturbed wasps alight. My naked limbs call attention, slide against raspberry picking. Let me dream rich cream, red strawberries, a replaced bowl, no spoons. My dream, strawberries, her mouth rides against raspberry picking.
He was the kind of guy who shelved his Descartes before his Horace. He was the kind of guy who knew the difference between Roland Barthes, John Barth, and Karl Barth, taking a clandestine pleasure in the text comparing them. He was the kind of guy who thought there should be a 1 to 10 scale from gutter snipe to elitist. He was the kind of guy who would only support nuanced name-calling and mudslinging. He was the kind of guy who bought lottery tickets and never checked them. He was the kind of guy who had an empty folder labeled erotica on his computer. He was the kind of guy who was his own best imaginary friend. He was the kind of guy who would lie to himself before anyone else. He was the kind of guy who, when he realized he had entered the bath with his socks on, would take them off, wash them, and hang them up to dry. He was the kind of guy who put his glasses on to hear you better. He was the kind of guy who came to accept his catastrophic thinking as his superpower.
Make no bones about it, my left foot carried its final edition in my jeans since the day I was born. My left ankle's collapse, a birth defect. Its ankle fusion fix, a failure. Confirmed too late by a CT scan. For anyone to believe my foot's pain was 9 or higher on a scale of 1 to 10. There is bigger and better suffering everywhere, this close to the end times. Pictures of fire and famine eclipse the sagging memory of my ragged metatarsal, bone giving way under the operating theater lights. From Love and Surgery. Tread softly from the cave, rocks are wet. Under night, hold me steady. Torches burn oil wrong, but light all the same. Now, quickly hold me steady. 5G towers bring new power paranoia, sets them alight. Tune station, here now the Middle East. Bow, quickly, hold me steady. Occupation is the only one word. There are no caves, just underduck. The notes they go up, the notes they go down. Quickly, hold me steady. Brushed velvet, a royal blush, having slipped off your slippers, you hand me your feet. I make them vow. Quickly, hold me steady. We wait for the sunrise. You rest your back against my sweater chest. I hum quietly, not to give anything away. Quickly, hold me steady.
I got down one time, nobody believed in me. I got way down one time, nobody believed in me. But I'm back on my good foot, I'm doing all right, you see.
I do not believe in your laboratory specimen bottle. Keine Methode erscheint wie dort ein accomplishment of fitness of speech. I do not believe I killed Jimmy Bang mit bestimmten natürlichen Zahlen. Fuck is a word of Germanic origin. It almost clutches their fingers while engaged in some guilty work. This book contains every sense of fuck, die labyrinthisch gehalten. I am not 3-4 on the floor after anger, his first transgression, like a ship set out to sea with the devil as its pilot. He kicks dogs. I have some diversionary tactics which are meant for performance, so I will perform one of them. I am not Catherine the Great. I am not Queen Victoria. My mother was hoping for a girl. I am not Simone de Beauvoir. I am not Aeneas Nin. I am not Henry Miller. I am not Saul Bellow. I am not Philip Roth. I am not Alden Nolan. I am not Gwendolyn McEwen or George Riga, and I am not you. I am not John Cheever. I am not Irving Layton or Delmer Schwartz. I am not Al Purdy. I am not Earl Burney or B.P. Nickel. I am not Rumi. I'm not Jim Harrison and not Jack London. I'm not Anne Sexton. I'm not Sylvia Plath. And once again, I am not you. We have the gift of inspiration and expiration, something these wayfarers no longer have. I give you the secret of life. Always breathe. I am Victor Enns, the lucky man, breathing as long as I can.
Andrea von Wichert is a Winnipeg-based writer and performer. Her work moves between poetry, performance, and interdisciplinary art. She's been involved in collaborative art and media projects as well. She brings a strong performative presence to literary work. Our next reader, Andrea von Wichert.
Hi, Shereen. I was very fortunate in late fall of 2021 to be introduced to Victor through Deb Patterson of Sick and Twisted Theater Company. And it was in his identity as a disability artist that I met Victor. And it's a really loaded term right now to call yourself involved with as a disability artist, because it's an invitation to for people to dismiss you because of a lived experience. And I had just finished writing larger work and performing it about my own experience of what we call mental illness, though that word doesn't really capture the experience. And I've been very, very moved by Victor's honest and continual reflection about his experiences of madness and his use of the word objection and that idea of being caught in a process of being cast off and caught in the process of your thoughts being cast off into a book. And Victor has created this beautiful time machine for us from his, from what has been cast off from him. And the other thing that I think profoundly affects me is that everyone is in this room embodied because of Victor. And I was lucky to be part of his Look Show project. And again, in spite of Victor's anxiety to join a group of people, his last artistic output was foremost to create community, even when he could not be present. And I think that more and more today, as we're disconnected because of the black boxes we all have in our pockets, I'm trying to hold that part of Victor's example for myself, in that community might be as simple as saying hello to a duck you see in the park. Anyway, the readings I've selected, they were inspired by the fact that Gus the cat makes an appearance.
Agitation. My stomach knots up, my hands twist each other. Arms push each other out of the way, and next thing I know, I'm having a bitch slap fight with myself until I'm red in the face. My eye begins to weep. My shoulders jerk, my man boobs jiggle, my tears pour out. I cannot read. My eyes Google precipitously, more's the pity, mewling from the other side. Bring me my kitty. Oh, my cat. My cat comes purr on my lap. Still, the violent tearing of my attention, confetti or rice. What did the invitation rule out? Bitch and moan. I think they might have been thinking of me. Yeah, well, you always think they are. This cudgel-bearing army of miscreants who failed to club you down to earth when you were little. Now, the bigger you are, the harder your fault with one leg. They tip you over more easily like a cow. Dog in the manger. He passed his service exam. He prefers his woman handler. My cat is a male cat with some bad teeth who sucks my agitated soul hammer dry before tossing it aside. Aside, he curls into a ball. Anytime he whispers, licking his paw, I can read time. I can read books. Don't ever give me or my pal George dirty looks. And there we have Victor rhyming. Yay. This is page 59 for those of you following along in your hymnals. Better wait. Electric radiators have come onto my waking, still in my night clothes. Gus admires my matching. Tolerates some belly snuggles, but he is all claws, defining his boundaries and looking down at his empty breakfast dish that I leave empty. This is a dead loss for a poem. No matter how much I hurt, these words are empty. Unless I lie, make coffee, have a cigarette, but more importantly, I need my leg to write. So I'll open the blinds and try to decide whether to wash before wearing my leg or put my leg on this minute, right this minute, to make me feel whole again. Though the twitch in my dick meant happy good morning, daydreams can start even before breakfast. Let go my leg go and let go my leg go. I don't smoke, but I remember lovers who brought their smokes. All of us putting them aside for the children we brought into our lives. Our desire with a different light.
Thank you, Andrea. That was fantastic. Armin Weibe, when I talked to him earlier, said that he had another poem prepared. So I was hoping we could bring him up and do that right now. Don't mean to put you on the spot or anything, but here he comes. Armin Weibe, thank you.
Well, Victor was kind of a mover and a shaker right from when I first met him. That was at the University of Manitoba, and he was working on I think a 6-year bachelor degree, and one of the things he was doing was organizing the reading series for the University of Manitoba. And then a year after that, the people in the class, or at least some of us, missed each other, and Victor organized a writing group that met at his apartment called the Riverview Apartments. And we met regularly and exchanged, read each other's work and so on. And then Victor was also involved in discussions with other people, and in the fall of, or late summer of 1981, he hosted a weekend event at his brother's place on the banks of the Red River at Albany. And out of that event, or at that event, the Manitoba Writers Guild was formed. And I left Manitoba at that point, I went to northern Manitoba, and Victor went to Saskatchewan to run the Saskatchewan Writers Guild. But then when he came back to Winnipeg, he was working at Rainbow Stage, and then he went to the Manitoba Arts Council, worked his way up to the executive director, and he was a bureaucrat along with being an artist. And he organized and started many things. He created the magazine Rhubarb and so on. So he was somebody who instigated things. He was not afraid to start stuff. And at the same time, there was this, it really came through for me in reading this book as well as Always Breathe, this force this desire, this need to keep writing poetry. And a week ago, Patrick Friesen and his wife, Eve Joseph, were at McNally Robinson, and Patrick told us that the day before Victor died, he had sent Patrick another new poem. And so he was writing right to the end. Anyway, I will read this poem. There is too much. Time does not care whether it's COVID-19 or covert militias that kill, funerals, now just a memory, hoping to see your grandmother through the glass before she breathes her last. Families are repulsed by the lineup of refrigerator trucks for racking up the dead, the living left with no place to take their viral remains, the cemeteries full to bursting, not deep enough to take all this mortality, and no hell hot enough for the unmasked needing beds to die in all the same. Healthcare workers pay no mind whether you walk on the sunny or the dark side of the street, with the shady national police in rental vans for the still breathing. As if it was possible to take away reality, captured on every phone, rolling digital video, death is no secret. We can see it all in slow-mo. All those guns, all those aerosols, all these bodies. At home I do not pray. I live in another country, afraid of all the violence. There is too much death, so close to where I live. I shelter in my apartment, listen here to jazz hymns like Haydn, like Peterson. Webb's arrangement takes pain, washing it in the water, brings solace to the river, the one we will all cross. Thank you.
The amount of work that Murray Toews did to put this event together is multi-layered and, well, really multi-yeared. He worked on Victor's last book and the previous, plus the Look Show, that was in 2023, that happened in this room, and all the stuff that went on the website. So we're going to hear from him now. Let's bring him up to share some of that. Murray Toews.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. Fantastic. Poetry is something I'm not the best at. However, what I'm going to do for you today is just read the afterword, because that's something that I wrote in the book in addition to the drawings. But I do want to say, though, working with Victor, interesting. We really hit it off. We had a really great synergy and collaborative energy. I feel honored to have worked with him and to have been able to take his words and make them into something visual. And it was really quite an honor working with him. Try not to get upset here. So Mennonites don't cry. What's that about? However, I am going to read my afterword as best as possible. So let's give this a shot. Okay, afterword by myself. I've known Victor Enns for close to 20 years, and in that time I've had the honor of working as a visual arts editor for Rhubarb magazine, and more recently, a collaborator, helping interpret his poetic language into print, video, and even wrangling the Look exhibition at Output in the Artspace building. Working alongside a series of artists, we explored his prolific and sharp-edged poetry in a new and unexpected ways. Over time, I've been drawn deeper into his visceral, fragmented reality. Haven't we all? Anyone comes close to Victor, that's what happens. So I've become not only a witness, but a visualizer of his internal conflicts, his struggles with pain, cognitive bewilderment, and physical challenges I can only begin to imagine. Some of these experiences I've shared with him during visits to what we've come to call the pain room, a place both real and imagined, where he explores the nuances of suffering and transforms them into expressive poetry, like severed nerve endings navigating a landscape of torrid memory. My own artwork was shaped early by my childhood experiences. My father suffered from bipolar disorder, and because my mother worked while he was unable to, my brother and I spent a lot of time navigating the constantly shifting tides of his mania. His condition left me attuned early to the fractures and intensities that accompany an interior life in conflict. Working with Victor was sometimes stirred with those memories, but not painfully, but with a kind of recognition. It feels both odd and familiar. The portraits of mein Todesbuch, pardon me, terrible Platzdeutsch, were made during the remaining months of my collaboration with Victor. Taking different forms from sketches to more resolved works, they do not interpret the poems but respond to his presence as it was, shifting, nuanced, and shaped difficulty and still alive. Placing sparingly throughout the book, the images accompany the poems without speaking for them. Victor and I talked right up to the departure gate, vetted through FaceTime. He explained to me that he needed to pack for eternity. I sat with that for a while, and how a man leaving behind a legacy of publications, ex-wives, a devoted partner, children, cats, dogs, and a mountain of shrapnel, as we call it, prepares for what comes next. And I found myself wondering quietly, did he remember to pack a toothbrush? And that's my afterword. So for my part, there's just a little bit more happening. We have, who else? We have the final word will be by Michelle Hewitt, his wife. But there is someone in the room who did want to maybe speak. Was there someone else who wanted to do a little extra? We're going to throw a little extra in here. And, two? Okay, so we'll start with you. If you have something you want to read, one would be appropriate. And then okay, good, thank you.
This is what we called the Freiwilliges part, I guess, in the villages. I'm Di Brandt, and I grew up with Vic Enns and his family and his extended family. I went to the same high school as he did. I've known him forever. I'm glad that Armin mentioned what a great organizer he was of the writing community here in Manitoba. And he was, we'll just say a personal thing, he was also a curmudgeon. He was very hard on women especially, and on me, but he was also a great colleague and a great supporter. And if you know about the Southern Manitoba Mennonite community and the sort of patriarchy built in stone that he came from, what he did in revising that masculinity coming from that heritage was something incredible. And the humility and willingness to accept shame and apology and abjection on his way to really being witty and brilliant. And, he spent so many years organizing the rest of us. We were very grateful for that. And we didn't realize that he had sort of put aside some of his own poetic aspirations. And so he was writing a little bit and dabbling over the years. And it was really these last years of great suffering where he came to his power and strength as a poet, as a great poet, with great eloquence. I mean, I'm just blown away by how this path of suffering brought him to his brilliance. And just want to also say thank you to all of you for this really beautiful remembrance of him. So I wanted to read something that's, his soft side, which he did have all the time, as well as hers, all those other sides. So this is from Mein Todesbuch. This is Death, the Softest Sound. I don't remember this humming escape so low, the softest sound. In the distance, hear my first bowstring, so low, the softest sound. Breath, hurry away on little bow feet, here we have vertigo dance. I close my eyes to hear suture needles sew the softest sound. Alley, clear of all but the darkness, nothing captured on tape or in charcoal, who by fire, says Leonard, burning slow, the softest sound. Truth be told, I'm worried, I'm dying. Of course I worry, I'm dying. All the time, pain, though, gets harder, touch and go, the softest sound. Again, that interval, what is that interval? I bet you it's the devil's interval. I bet you it's the tritone resolved to throw, the softest sound. Hank gets his father's axe and lays the radiator hose down on the stump. Never again, says Henry, handing Pa rubber slices. Oh, the softest sound. There, see the light on this page. There's a bass frog mother hears over to Buffalo Creek where she listens. Bird song, wind wolf willow, her dying father sows the softest sound. We got some bells ringing now. She is galloping, running to her lover, or chased. She runs from her lover, sighs in the meadow, the softest sound. Overcast for days, the smoke of fires just blanketing the valley, keeping us tucked into the haze, my headaches, the Enns knows that not the softest sound. The scene is empty of all things. The set is bise by a metronome, chased from taping. These four strings make adagio, the softest sound. She wants something. Let's just ski by you, my father sang hoarse, pulling me while he and his angels furrow the softest sound. Sad picnic, because only one of the two lovers came to listen. Hear our Murray Schaefer's throat rattle, his last breath, bow, the softest sound.
Hi, I'm Diane Dreger, and I've known Victor since 1991. He was a judge in the first contest that I entered, that the Manitoba Writers Guild had, and I was one of the winners, and I was thrilled, and he was very encouraging. I'd like to talk about Victor as mentor and teacher. Very important in my life. He was the founder of Rhubarb magazine. I published in that magazine. Got more encouragement from him. He participated in a project that my dad and I did on Mennonite writers, so I interviewed him in his kitchen and learned about his feeling about writing and the importance of voice and putting your voice out there, even if you think nobody's reading it. And lately, in the last 4 years, Victor happened to marry a friend of mine, Michelle Hewitt, from the disability rights movement, which I have been involved in since the early 1980s. And Victor, of course, had become recently disabled. He and I did some talking about that. I showed him some readings to maybe talk about disability pride and how people with disabilities are organizing. And he said to me, you know, I am not going to be pulled into a cult. I am not just going to believe that. I said, well, here it is for you to read and think about now that you're a person who has physical and mental disabilities. And soon after, during COVID, I saw a Facebook post from my friend Michelle Hewitt, who's a disability activist from British Columbia. And there was a picture of her and Victor on Zoom having dinner. And she said, "Oh, I just had dinner with my friend Victor." And I said, "What? What is Victor doing sitting with Michelle on Zoom? This is the most unlikely thing." And then I found out from Michelle that, yes, they had been on an internet dating site. And they had all these Zoom dinners, and then Victor went out to visit, and then she came to visit him in Gimli, and then they decided to get married, and then he ups from Gimli and went over to Kelowna, and they got married, and Victor married one of the foremost disability rights activists right now, because she's working on the Canada Disability Benefit. And I thought, well, Victor, we never talked about it again, but most interesting that you married her. And then recently, I asked Victor to be a reader for my poetry book that's coming out this June, called The Wonder Wander. I asked him to read it, and he said, "Really, you're asking me? Why are you asking me? I'm shocked." I said, "Well, why are you shocked?" He said, "Because I didn't think that you as a woman would ask me to read your poetry." And I said, "Well, I already have a woman reader who's looked at it, and I thought I would like to have a male perspective, and I would like your perspective. I also really like your poetry. It's always to the point, right?" And he said, "Okay, I'll do it." And so in the end, he gave me comments and said to me, "You've really improved as a poet over the years. These are really good, especially these small poems. They're really good." So, Victor, thank you for all of your contributions to all of us.
We told you that Michelle Hewitt would join us via a video recording. She's based in Kelowna, known for her work supporting inclusive practices and disability awareness. Michelle Hewitt.
Nothing by Victor Enns. I am pissed at Jesus, God, and religion. Got no business messing with me, messing with my soul. So fuck off, Jesus, God, and religion, or I'll piss on you. I'm fixing to die without you, Jesus, God, or religion. I'm choosing my menu, having fresh strudel and kick-ass black coffee, a hot bath like my picture. And then, nothing. I got great veins, easy for the IV, and when the chill begins to flow, I'll smile. You know, I'm going to die with nothing to believe in. Jesus, God, and religion. Piss off, don't you know more people have died for believing in Jesus, God, and religion? We should all be pissed at the soulmongers, fish and loaves. Show up, you fucking bastards, and feed the kids in Gaza. Yep, I've made a donation. Not anything near enough. The doctors and the journos who may be telling the truth so long as they believe in one thing only, and that's our very life itself. My time today is done without you, Jesus, God, or religion. I'm choosing my menu, having fresh strudel and kick-ass black coffee, a hot bath like my picture, and then, nothing. Shadow Tag by Victor Enns. I am not strong. I am breathing. I am alive with love in this valley of apples, cherries, pears, peaches, and apricots. My sister, my brother, and me play shadow tag. The grinning reaper lifts their skirts, racing to play, Catches, my brother, dead to last.
That's our program. Thank you to our distinguished readers for sharing some of Victor's work. Book launch preparation by Murray Toews and Candace Ross. Thank you to our talented musicians, Midbrain Trio, Chris Mama Bauer. Thank you to our technical geniuses, Joyce Video, Chris Audio, Lora Visuals. Thank you so much for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoy the books. Thanks to Relish Ideas, Terry Corrigan, Catherine Westwood, and staff, and also thanks to Friesen's Printing. And all that's left to say is be well, friends, and have a great rest of your day.
Hey.